waited 40 years after Elvis's passing, and almost 40 years, and because I never wanted to be accused of capitalizing or exploiting my relationship with him. So that's why I never wrote a book for almost 40 years about my relationship with Elvis. And I respectfully had to wait until Caitlin came out as herself, the former Bruce Jenner, the father of my children. I respectfully waited for her to make her announcement, and then I thought, I've got to write this book because my life has been so extraordinary.
Linda Thompson reveals the pain Elvis hid. He was never happier than when he was with Lisa Marie. But behind the smiles and iconic moments lies a shocking truth about their family life and Lisa Marie's tragic struggles. The details Linda shares will change how you see the king and his daughter forever. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Linda Thompson once said, Elvis was never happier than when Lisa Marie was by his side. There's something striking about that statement, not just because it paints Elvis as a tender father, a side most fans might not have seen, but because of what it says about their bond. From the outside, Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll, a symbol of glitz, glamour, and star power. But behind closed doors, Lisa Marie was his grounding force. She wasn't just his daughter, she was his purest joy, a reflection of something he may have long craved, unconditional love. For Linda, this was something she witnessed firsthand during their 4-year relationship. As Elvis's girlfriend in the early 70s, Linda wasn't just part of his inner circle. She became a close observer of his family life, the quiet moments away from the fans and flashing lights. Elvis often told her how deeply he valued the time he spent with Lisa Marie. To Elvis, being around his little girl was one of the few things that made him truly feel like a regular man. According to Linda, those moments were transformative for him. She watched as Elvis's playful side, so rarely seen outside of a performance, emerged in full force when Lisa Marie came to visit. What makes their bond even more touching is just how much of Elvis himself seemed to exist in Lisa Marie. Linda often remarked on how similar they were, not just in their appearance, though Lisa's rounded cheeks and piercing eyes mirrored him perfectly, but in their shared sense of humor and wit. Lisa had her father's ability to light up a room with just a casual joke or an unexpected impression. Even as a child, she had this larger-than-life energy that reminded Linda of Elvis at his peak. Through her, he saw himself, not Elvis Presley, the icon, but the real unguarded person beneath the stage persona. In that way, Lisa wasn't just his daughter, she was a connection to the man he might have been had his life not been consumed by fame. Linda recalled countless moments of Elvis simply being a father, and these glimpses show a radically different side of a man often portrayed as a tragic figure weighed down by his celebrity. She described him sneaking snacks into Lisa Marie's room when she stayed at Graceland, sitting cross-legged on the floor with her as they played games or joked about made-up scenarios. One time she caught Elvis orchestrating an elaborate tea party with Lisa, complete with stuffed animals in attendance. It's a surreal image in a way, the king himself clad in his usual jumpsuit and jewelry, sipping imaginary tea with his daughter. But that was the magic of their bond. It brought out a softness in him that few people got to witness. At the same time, it's not hard to understand why Elvis may have cherished those moments so much. His relationship with fame was complicated. By all accounts, it took a heavy psychological toll on him. Linda spoke of the pressure Elvis felt to always be on, especially when he was out in public. Fans expected a showman, a king, a star at all time, but Linda said Lisa Marie gave him that rare, precious chance to be vulnerable, to shed that persona. When he was with her, the noise of the world seemed to quiet down. For him, those moments weren't just about fatherhood, they were about finding peace in a life that often felt overwhelming. Linda also once mentioned that Lisa Marie held a unique place in Elvis's heart. Though he had countless friendships and romantic relationships, this bond was singular. She brought out the best in him, Linda shared, emphasizing how much happiness Lisa brought into a life that, despite its glamour, had its fair share of darkness. For Elvis, she wasn't just his greatest source of joy, she was the love of his life. That might sound surprising to some, given the many famous romances Elvis had over the years, but Linda made it clear this type of love transcended any of his other relationships. This revelation gives us a deeper understanding of just how human Elvis really was. His happiest and most complete moments weren't on stage or at lavish parties with Hollywood's elite. They were at Graceland, sitting with his daughter, watching her laugh or chasing her around the yard like any regular father. It's a poignant reminder that at his core, Elvis Presley wasn't all that different from anyone else. He wanted to be loved and understood, and in Lisa Marie, he found both. Behind Lisa Marie Presley's rare appearances on red carpets and public stages, there was always a story few people understood. One of those moments came at the recent Golden Globes, where she stood in support of the Elvis biopic that had gripped audiences across the world. Dressed in elegant black, she projected grace and composure, yet one detail stood out. Just days before her passing, many couldn't help but notice her noticeably fragile demeanor. The woman who embodied the Presley legacy, who so often appeared unshakable, seemed to be carrying something much heavier than her polished exterior let on. According to Linda Thompson, few moments defined Lisa Marie's life more than the tragedies she endured. Heartbreaks that began as early as her childhood. As the only child of Elvis Presley, Lisa grew up in the shadow of a global icon, the person whom millions adored, yet who was rarely allowed a moment of peace. From early on, Lisa Marie had to navigate a world that didn't quite distinguish her from her father's fame. The Presley name came with a weight that hung over her entire life, and while she wore it with pride, appearing at Graceland celebrations or supporting projects like the movie about Elvis's life, that same identity isolated her in ways only those closest to her, like Linda, could see. The final days of Lisa Marie's life unfolded in a way that seems tragically surreal. Days after her rare appearance at the Golden Globes and her dedication to celebrating her father's story, she was rushed to the hospital following a cardiac arrest at home. Early reports noted that her ex-husband, Danny Keough, and emergency responders had managed to bring back a pulse, sparking a glimmer of hope. But at the hospital, sources confirmed Lisa Marie was declared brain dead, ending her life at just 54 years old. It was an unspeakable loss, not just for her family, but for those fans who had followed her journey so closely. Looking at the story of Lisa Marie's life, it's impossible to separate the immense love she shared for her father from the profound struggles she endured, some of which were direct consequences of the Presley name. Yet, as Linda would later reflect, the strength Lisa showed was remarkable. She emerged in the public eye when it mattered, not for herself, but for the legacy she wished to preserve. Behind the glitz of the Golden Globes and the charm of a Graceland event, there was a woman who carried more heartache than the fans who adored her ever realized. And as Linda Thompson thought back on all the moments she shared with both Elvis and Lisa Marie, one question lingered. What would Elvis himself have thought about the heartbreak his family endured? Had he lived to witness it all? For Linda Thompson, the heartbreak of losing Lisa Marie Presley is inextricably tied to her memories of Elvis's deep love for his daughter. Through Linda's eyes, their bond was something rare, a connection that carried both joy and vulnerability. Lisa Marie, with her soulful eyes and irreverent humor, mirrored Elvis's best and most complicated traits, embodying the love they shared. Yet behind the shining public appearances lay burdens of fame and unimaginable grief. Their story is a reminder of the unseen struggles that fame conceals and the enduring strength of family ties. What do you think Elvis would have felt witnessing it all?